Welcome to the Gorgeous Gray podcast. I am Nicole Scott, your host, registered holistic nutritionist, rest mindset coach, author of the Gorgeous Gray movement, and the co-creator of the Menopause Reset program. In this podcast, we have real conversations about aging as a woman and all the pressure and uncertainty we feel as we head into menopause and beyond. Let's face it, aging is not an easy conversation to have. But I say it's time to talk about the messy middle and offer hope when we feel like giving up on ourselves. Let's talk about our fears around gray hair, our muffin tops, and even our dry, itchy vaginas and everything in between. I will help you reconnect to your feminine energy and offer real solutions from experts in their field to navigate aging as a woman. I believe we, as women, deserve to shine even brighter in this next chapter of life. So with a sense of humor and a lot of compassion, let's dive into these vulnerable conversations. Hello, wonderful, gorgeous, gray women out there in the world. It's Nicole Scott, another episode. You just get me today, and I want to talk to you in this episode of brave acts. Brave acts that you have done, brave acts that I have done, brave acts that really kind of compound and can create a really cool life. And I just want to dive in and tell you a little bit more about, this conversation of brave acts. So in my first book that I wrote, The Gorgeous Gray Movement, I have a whole chapter in there called Brave Acts. And that chapter was so good for me to dive in and remind myself of starting in, my childhood, really writing down all the different brave acts that I felt that I had done in my youth. And this is a great exercise for you women to do. So I guess what I'm asking you to do is try this on. This is what I did, is I wrote down all the brave acts that I could remember, because I'm sure there are a lot of brave acts that I don't remember, and you probably won't remember all of your brave acts, but I wrote down, and then I kind of took the top 5 that were the most kind of like pivotal brave acts that I did that moved me forward in my life in a positive way. So an example would be one of the brave acts that I did, which I thought impacted me greatly, was accepting a job out of university that moved me to a new city. I had to say goodbye to all of my family. It was across the country. And I remember how hard and emotional that decision was, because it's like I was in Alberta for 20 some years of my life. I had friends, I have family, I have community, and I got this job offer, and it was good. It was exciting, but at the same time, oh my gosh, it took a lot of bravery, because I'm moving to a brand new city, a big city, Toronto. I don't know anybody. It was just the unknown, but it landed me in a career. I met my husband within the first week. Fell in love, we married, we had kids, but it's like, if I never did that brave act, if I would have played small and went, oh, but then I don't have any friends, and the stories that you create in your head, I wouldn't have had my life. I wouldn't have married my first husband, which I have no regrets, because that's where I was in my life, and our energies matched, and we had 2 beautiful girls, are now women. I was like, wow. So it's like, check, right? That was a big one. Another brave act that I thought was so profound for me was I did the unthinkable, which is I signed up to do this job in university to do door-to-door sales. And I was like 19. And that door-to-door sales, that was so scary. Like, oh my gosh. So first off, just to give you some background of this job, is I was studying at university, and they gave me this like little sheet to say, like, are you interested in, like, there was 5 questions, and I answered it, and I went to a seminar. I learned about it, about like what it would take. And they were sharing like the average income that you could actually make if you stayed on track. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds so scary. But at the same time, it was so exciting because they would, so you had to kind of get your own way, like across the country into the United States. So think of like Alberta and going all the way to, I believe it was in Memphis. We get a week's training from some of the best salespeople. That was free. They would train us on how to knock on doors and communicate and to sell these educational books. They're like mini dictionaries, encyclopedias. And then they landed us across the country where we could work and not be distracted by friends and family. And we were on a really tight budget. My dad did not want me to go because I don't blame him. Like, think about, your 19-year-old daughter knocking on doors. That's a little scary. And this, of course, was, over 25 years ago, where I guess people were still answering doors. And that was scary for me, but I did it. And I did it my first summer. And I remember my check that I got for that first summer was $6,600. And it was a pretty big deal because I was paying my way through university. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it really helped me that first year financially. And a lot of my friends didn't even come close to making that kind of money. I was really proud of myself. It was a really hard job, but I learned so much, and the skill set was incredible. And I actually went out the next year, and I actually brought a team of 10, and I literally more than doubled my paycheck. What was cool, when I think about, like, again, a brave act, doing something differently than my friends, doing something that, like, my parents were like, don't think this is maybe the best, job, like, get something different. I did it anyways. And there was so much that I got out of it. Yes, I made good money. Yes, I like met new friends, incredible friends that I'm still in touch with today. I won 2 trips. The first trip I won was to Mexico and Puerto Vallarta. That was kind of my first big trip that I had ever gone on. So I started to learn about travel, exciting. And then the second year, I won a trip to Hawaii, and that was my first time I went to Hawaii. So I was starting to learn about travel and exploring. But the biggest thing is when I started to interview for jobs out of university, guess what? They were so impressed with that job. They're like, you stand out. Like, they were asking stuff about perseverance and give me examples of perseverance. I'm like, well, I would work all day in the rain and I would still knock on doors. I did, from 8 in the morning till like, 8 or 9 at night. I did 6 days a week. I did that for 13 weeks. Like, I was able to answer these really tough questions in interviews. And that impressed me. I got a lot of job offers actually out of university, but I accepted this particular one. So those are like 2 of the brave acts. Another brave act was the divorce, walking away from a 20-year relationship. That was hard. That was emotional. But I knew it was time to move on, that our marriage that we had tried hard to save just wasn't working for my soul. And, we've been apart for 7 years, but we're friends. And I have no regrets. And it was like, wow, that was another brave act. And there was a lot of healing that had to happen. And there was a lot of, my kids having to forgive that I broke up the marriage. And now that they're older and they understand why mommy needed to move on. So that was like a really, brave act that was a real big game changer for me. And to have, all this fear, could I afford to live on my own? Would my network marketing business, grow and be able to keep me at home or not have to go back to a corporate job? Like, again, so many, the thing when you do brave acts that I've learned is that there's just so many unknowns that you just have to trust. You have to trust the universe, God, whatever that maybe bigger power is for you. And as I got older and braver, I really leaned into trusting energy, universal energy, God energy, to say, I trust you. I trust that you have my back. I trust that as long as I am continuing to do brave acts, that you will serve me in my highest power. And the more that I tapped into that energy, the more my life got better. So when I'm kind of going through my list, one of the big brave acts that I did was just over 4 years ago when I decided to go gray at the age of 47. That was hard. That was like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is hard. This is embarrassing. This is, how will people perceive me? But at the same time, in the hard and the unknown, and how my hair would look and how I would feel about myself as, as I started to get older and the wrinkles are coming in, I was like, I knew what I was doing, which is I was doing this for my health. I was doing this because I had this scare, this health scare, that I had lumps in my breast. And I was writing about it and journaling about it and, crying about it and praying about it. And I just kept on getting this message that it's going to be okay. You will find your way. You will inspire. And that was the message I kept on getting when I was in my meditation and prayer. So I just trusted that. I leaned into it, leaned into another brave act. And I can tell you that the way that my life has unfolded since I did like another brave act was I wrote a book, which I would have never thought in a million years that I would write a book. I was never good in English. Second language was like, I didn't even get through my second language, I think in high school, which was French in Alberta. I think in grade 9 we had to take it, but again, not really good in language, didn't like to read books, always got like the Coles notes. And so, when I went gray, I was like, not the first thing I was like, oh, I'm going to write a book. Like that's not happened. But what happened was I had just been writing and writing and writing. And it was a friend that said, well, why don't you put it into a book? And I was like, who, me? Like, I can't do that. But then I sat with it, right? How many of you need to sit with things? Like, instead of just like blurting out, like, no, maybe you need to do this, but you're just not listening to the nudges. So I listened to the nudges, and the nudges were getting me out of the bed at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. As Wayne Dyer used to say, that's when his magic happened. I was like, I'm channeling Wayne Dyer. Maybe I'm channeling my inner goddess that will give me the words that I need to write down to serve more women and to help them see their bravery. And so, long story short, the right person showed up in my life. I hired her to be my book coach. We worked together for over a year. Dawn James, I love you. Thank you, my friend. She's in Costa Rica. If you want to reach out to her, she was a great mentor. She helped me. She built up my confidence to realize we could do this, and we did it. We did it. And, sometimes when you're thinking about that brave act, sometimes you might need to reach out and ask for help. I asked for help, and she was the right person that was sent to me. So wrote a book, lots of speaking engagements that I had, which was kind of cool, building my confidence. Then the podcast came, the YouTube channel came, my website came, Instagram came, started to do that, my Facebook group, like it just started to like unfold, all because of a brave act. And I was writing some notes here this morning before this podcast to just kind of think about, if we stop doing brave acts, what happens? Do we get too comfortable? Do we start saying no more to life? Do we start to play smaller? Do we just forget that, like, is doing a brave act like a muscle? And I got thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. To do a brave act is almost like going to the gym every day and pumping iron weights and reminding your muscle of how brilliant it can be and how healthy it can be if you create that daily habit. And I was like, it's kind of like a brave act. We need to flex our muscles. And I think as we get older, we tend to run away from the brave acts because they just seem to get scarier, or we're just like, nah, it's not for me anymore, or I'm too old, or I can't do that. And on the last interview that I did with Diane Gilman, oh my gosh, that woman is incredible. She never started her big career until she was 60 years old, and being known in the world for the gene lady and making genes for women menopause. Like, how brilliant. And that idea came to her, and she did a brave act. And she's had an amazing life. She's 77 years old now, and you'll hear, you probably listen to her podcast. If you haven't, you want to go back. That's a brave woman. She's done many brave things beyond what most people would say, oh, I'm too old. She's like, nah, bring it on. So let's keep on rolling on this brave act thing. Where are you in your life? How many brave acts have you had? Have you stopped saying yes to life? And what would it take for you to start doing these brave acts? Look at your list, go through the list. Oh my gosh, I used to be brave. Oh my gosh, look at all the things that I did do. At what point in your life did you stop doing those brave acts? Was it one that just you landed on your face and you said never again? And are you willing to change the story and the narrative? Because how about you're holding yourself back? So I'll keep on going on this because, yes, my gray journey and all the stuff that's been doing, but I really believe that because I have kept on saying yes to things that scare me, it keeps on serving me in the most wonderful way possible. So another thing that was a brave act that has led me here to living in Mexico part-time was that almost 18 years ago, my mom, Janice, shared with me a network marketing opportunity that I said no to. I was like, nope, not for me, not joining a network marketing company, barf, not for me, don't want to be one of those people. Saw my mom do it over and over again. I'm like, no way. Like, I saw that you never got your pink Cadillac, not doing it. But guess what? She saw that I was struggling. She saw that I was struggling financially. She saw that I was a stay-at-home mom, walked away from a corporate job. She saw that my daughter was suffering from immune issues, allergies, and she had gone through the research at the time, and she was the one that knew that I could probably benefit from it, but I was too cool. I was a nutritionist. I didn't need something like that. And then till one day, months and months later, she caught me at the right time in a very vulnerable moment, and I said, yes, I'll try your products. And I'm going to try your products, and then you're going to stop bugging me. And behind her back, I actually got my live blood analysis done with myself and my two girls. And Sydney was 2 and Ella was 3 at the time. We got our blood work done, and your live blood analysis can actually show you what the heck is going on in your body based on about 3 to 4 months of what you've been putting in your body. It gives you a really good picture. The health of your red blood cells. Maybe you can see parasites, you can see B deficiencies, iron deficiencies. Are your blood cells sticking together or not? Are you hydrated? It's pretty fascinating stuff. And I learned about this years ago in nutritional school about live blood. I've been doing it ever since. So I was like, okay, we'll get it done. My best friend did it. And 4 months later, we go back and she's like, oh my gosh, Nicole, what have you done? Your blood looks incredible. You went from kind of like a 6 to like an 8.5. Your kids, same thing. I'm seeing some great things in Ella and her immune health. Like, go back to her team, get her reevaluated. It's like, okay. So I'll do that. So we did. And the team's like, oh my gosh, her allergies are coming down. Her immune markers are going up. What are you doing? I'm just like, I started this Juice Plus plant powders that my mom recommended. And there's research. There's 15 research. There's some immune study research. Anyways, long story short, I did a brave thing. I said yes to mom. I didn't really want to say yes to mom, and I was kind of appeasing her, but I did a brave thing and tried it, even though I wanted nothing to do with network marketing. Nothing. I was never going to do a career in it. Are you kidding me? No, thank you. No, thank you. But the impact that those plant powders made on me, I got my mama mojo back. I started running again. I started to feel alive again. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how deficient I was in fruits, veg, and berries. But my goodness, I guess I was, because my body was starting to awake, the giant within. And I was like, this is incredible. And a year went by. And we started to see some amazing changes. And Ella got signed off that she was good to go, no allergies, no immune compromised. And I was like, wow, this was an amazing tool that really helped us move forward. We, of course, did many other lifestyle changes based on my nutritional background. It just wasn't, these magic capsules. But let me tell you, did they ever contribute to a healthier body? And I'm so grateful every day that my mom never gave up on me. So the brave act, there's a couple brave acts in here. One, for me finally saying yes, even though I wanted nothing to do with network marketing. And then the brave act was me starting to get brave enough to have conversations with people about it and eventually do something with this business. And here I am now in Mexico because of that brave act. I would have never thought, if you would have told me, hey, Nicole, you're going to be a top leader in Canada and in the world with the Juice Plus company, I would have laughed at you and said, yeah, right. I'm going to take the product. I like the product. I'll share with a few people. That's it. I got a career in nutrition. Don't bug me. Took me 4 years to wear the shirt. I had the I'm too cool syndrome, pretty active in my brain. But finally, I just, started to see way too many people improve, and I started to do the work. I started to heal my traumas. I started to change my stories. And so as it goes, I got to a place where I had the financial independence, and I had a new belief and a new story of I could help so many other women, not only with their health, but also introduce them to the opportunity, even just to make an extra $500 to $1,000 and help pay for X, Y, and Z, whatever that might be for them. And so here I am, I'm heading into my 18th year, being very proud of being in the network marketing industry and having a really unique life, a life of freedom, a life of choice at the age of 52, being down in Mexico, where most people here are in their 60s and 70s. And they're like, you listen to them and they're like, oh, I wish that I could have got down here earlier. I wish I didn't have to wait so long. And I'm like, wow, it's just like, I just feel so lucky, so grateful that I created that bravery. So as I wrap up this episode, and I'm going to end it with the last thing that just showed up for me, was just a couple weeks ago, I got asked by our company to close the upcoming conference in Arizona. And at first I was kind of taken back because I'm like, there are so many great people out there. There's so many leaders that are, bigger salaries, bigger houses, doing amazing things. And I'm like, me? But I had done enough work and enough brave acts to go, yeah, me, help me. And I'm honored and I'm grateful and I will represent the company so well. And I had this aha moment of just everything that I have gone through in my life, the hard, the scary, the unknown, all of my brave acts, they keep on adding up to a place where it gets you right where you're at. It's no accident that I got the invitation. It's like, Nicole, you have been doing the work. You have been showing up. You have been representing bravery in what you do. And I had to sit with that and be proud of it and be excited about it and go, remember that little girl, that young mom that sat at her first conference looking at the great on the stage to go, could I do that one day? Could I be that brave? Could I share something? Would I have a story of value? That young mom would have been, no, not right now. That would be nice maybe one day, but not right now. And what I've realized is the last 18 years and even longer, the stuff that I've been choosing, different, hard, brave, has gotten me to this place, has gotten me to hang out in Mexico with my family. It's gotten me to, do some pretty amazing trips with my mom and my dad and my bonus dad, and being able to invite friends and family and actually build in Mexico and create opportunity for people in Mexico, which I'm so grateful for, and having some great conversations. And so it doesn't end here, right? So Brave Acts to me is like a compound effect. And so I'm not going to stop doing Brave Acts. I'm going to keep on going. Why? Because I know what's important. I know what's important for me. I know what's important for my soul. I know it's important for the path that I am on, that God is giving me this beautiful life and this path that I need to continue to go on. And every one of you that will be listening to this podcast, this episode on Brave Acts, we all have the opportunity to get on that beautiful path that you are meant to be. And I want to ask you a few questions. Are you on that path? Is it serving your soul? Are you excited about being here? Are you excited about your next chapter or chapters? Are you doing things that light you up? Are you inspired? Can you teach what you have learned? Can you dust yourself off in all the heart and trauma and do the work? Why is this work so important for us to do our own healing and our brave acts? Is because we're cutting cords with the past. We are healing past generation. Our kids are watching. If we don't heal, they don't heal. If we don't heal, past generational, all the generations that are coming before us, they don't have the opportunity to do it. So it's up to us. This is your time. This is the time now. I am so grateful for this platform. I am so grateful that I can have these great, real conversations from my heart to say that for women, the world needs your bravery. So if you're listening to this and you're sitting on the fence about whatever that is, the brave act of starting to eat healthy, the brave act of going for that interview, that brave act of maybe leaving an unhealthy relationship, that brave act of maybe I'm going to stop dyeing my hair, that brave act of having that vulnerable conversation with your children or that child, that maybe you're doing this head on and you need to maybe just be really truthful. Maybe it's time to speak your truth. Maybe you've been hiding it for so long, those dark, deep secrets. There's so many brave acts you can do. So I will leave you with this. What one brave act that you can do today that you believe can help set you free and start to move towards that path that you are meant to be on? Thank you so much for tuning in today, listening to my heart. I am sending out some big, brave hugs. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're inspired by this episode. I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If this message landed for you, make sure to leave a review and tag me, Nicole Scott at Gorgeous Gray Movement, and make sure to share with your friends. You can head over to my free Facebook community, Gorgeous Gray Movement, or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring interviews. If you are still struggling and need additional support, you can take a look at my website, nicolescott.ca, and learn more about my new Menopause Reset program that I'm so excited for. Until next time, ladies, be well and own your sparkle.